Hey, everybody. I'll be right there. I thought I had 5 more minutes. Glad I just looked. I still look really tired. Sleepy. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving wherever you are. And if you live somewhere where you don't have Thanksgiving, I hope you had a nice dinner anyway. Boy, a scary sight. That's something you look in the mirror and you think, I don't look too bad. And then you see yourself on a camera and you're like, huh? What? Do these bags? I don't know why I keep doing this because it doesn't work. Bags are getting bigger and bigger. I'll get some stories going here in a sec. Let me grab my water. Thought I had 5 more minutes. Be patient. Be right there, guys. Sorry. I see Davita got the message. I got to let Carolyn know, too. She'll probably be like, damn that woman. Can't she just go live and stop letting me know? If I want to go there, I'll go there. She doesn't have to keep telling me. Be right there, guys. Very sorry. I hate when people make you wait like that. I really do. It's rude, and I don't want to be that way. Okay, let me find the stories really quick. This is when I thought I'd be started. I'm going to do more out of this magazine, the Reminisce. I think we got most of these read, though. Such a cute little magazine. We'll do more out of this one. Tracy, you made it. Let me know. Let Carolyn know. I do, Mike. I do. Yeah. I think they still do that? Don't you see those sometimes, like in doctor's office and whatever? Get my water. My handy dandy water. Hi, Why Wonder, Karen H, Mike, Captain Lee Fan, Jen Grill, Whisper to Me. Let's see who else. Tracy Kloss, of course. Moo. Peridot. Billy Jones. Virginia. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. Let's see. And Captain Lee Fan. And easily distracted. Here we go. Okay, I sent Carolyn the message. Lexi's in the other room, but... Oh, good, Virginia, good. Hi, WL. Lexi, they're saying hi to you.
Hi. Hi.
Lori Colley, hi. Brought to you again by my sponsor, LaCroix, or LaCroix. Supposedly it's in French. LaCroix. Cafe Exotica. The flavor of coffee and cola. 0 calories, 0 sweetener, 0 caffeine. It's full of flavor. It's super good, guys. Check at your local grocery store today and ask for Cafe Exotica. If they don't have that, ask them why they don't carry it. You won't be disappointed.
Didn't you get those at Myers?
These at Myers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have the Myers by you, check there. They might have it.
Coffee and cola, all in a water.
Hi.
Let me pour the rest in, and then I'll get started. I think I still have that. Oh, look how cute, guys. This is ripped, but look at my sister, Shelly. She made all these for us. From her for Thanksgiving, and they were filled with all kinds of chocolates. And I ate like half of this last night, and they were good. She bought some really good ones.
Yeah.
Listening, hi, Sensible Crime. That's what I want you to do, okay? Just sit back and listen.
Hi, Mike.
She said she was upset, though, because it was a package of 8 of these, and she thought they were already put together. And I think she had just gotten home from work, and she was super tired. She said her hands were numb. I don't know why. And she said she couldn't see. I think she's needing reading glasses probably at her age now.
I've heard OI than WO.
And she said she kept putting them all wrong together, and she had me laughing so hard.
I can tell it was this one.
And then she decided, well, I'll finally go ahead and look at the instructions. But aren't they cute? It's ripped and everything, but it's really cute. And a sweet idea. Okay. This is Retro Replay. If Carolyn happens to go live, guys, just let us know and we'll go over there, okay? Around 45. That's, yeah. And she's what? She was born in 72. So next year, she'll be 50. Hi, Jess Ruby. How do these little sisters get so freaking old? My sister, other little sister, Melissa, turned 50 last year. It's crazy. And I still see them as kids. That's how I think of them, you know? I think of them as those little kids. Okay, this one is A Brush with Fame. Trevante played Captain Frank Furillo on the cop drama from 1981 to 87. He looks familiar, definitely. I don't think I ever watched that show. Davita's in the house. Hi, Caldonia. Okay, everyone, sit back and listen, okay? And just enjoy yourself. Oh, yeah, okay. During the winter of 63, as part of my 3-year term in the Army, I was at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, in an advanced training course that was preparing me for my regular assignment. Most of the other troops there. Most of the other troops there, I got to get my mind right, were in the National Guard fulfilling their 6-month active duty requirements. Daniel J. Trevante, who was from Kenosha, Wisconsin, was one of my colleagues. Trevante had already begun his acting career, having appeared in some stage productions. He hung out with several of us who were from Chicago. Weekends, we'd head to a nearby town to play pool and have a beer, always hoping to meet and dance with the local girls. After a few drinks, Trevante never passed up an opportunity to show off his acting skills. We always subjected him to a lot of razzing and negative comments when he did this. It didn't bother him. Instead, he'd remind us that someday he would hit the big time and we'd be asking him for an autograph. Of course, that day arrived and Dan became a successful actor. In 1983, he replied to an inquiry of mine by sending a picture of himself on which he wrote, "To John, of course I remember that winter at Leonard Wood. Thanks for the reminder and the nice words." He signed it, "Fellow Guardsman." I was grateful that he didn't include, "I told you so." Hi, Surviving the Storms. See, I never watched that show. I'm sure he's been in other things probably, because I do recognize him. And that was by John Rebeck from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Oh, look at this, guys. Oh. I hope Carolyn's here. She would love it. Oh, she's here. I sent you one, Carolyn. I mean, your own personal. Hi, Jimmy. Dorothy, do you like these stories or are you really not into this stuff? I'm not offended if you're not. Even Lexi's getting into them, though. Look at this. Okay, Dorothy. Isn't that neat, though? It says, back in time, take a break, festive smile. Her presents all unwrapped and waiting to be played with, Paula sits for a moment to let her mom, Barbara Moore of Millington, Michigan, I was trying to figure out where to snap a quick picture one holiday in the 60s. Oh my gosh, Carolyn, look. Chatty Cathy, look at that baby stroller, the cash register. Oh, what is this? Something? Oh, a suitcase, I think, for doll clothes. Look at that. On the bottom, I always wanted something like that, and I never got that. That's Chatty Cathy there, guys. I had her. And look who I brought for today. I didn't even know Chatty Cathy was going to be in here. And this is one of the Chatty Cathys. You can see the faces are similar. This is a 60s one. This is from 1991. Hi, Cheryl Curtis. This is the one you had, or the one in the picture, Davida? I think that's what I had too. And look, guys, I even brought baby. I know I've shown you guys these before, but this is tiny Chatty baby. And they both still have their strings. They just don't work. But I don't want to keep pulling the strings because, I don't want to break it. But these are her original clothing. I'm pretty sure, right? This is for sure the bib, and it's attached to the little jumper. I'm pretty sure she's older than 91. Pretty sure she's from back, These are more of my grandma's dolls. That I was given after she passed. Okay. Here's some pictures from the past. Santa in Vietnam. Hi, Pamela Lynn. Not old enough to be your mom, but I thank you. I appreciate that. You never know. I'm long in the tooth. 66. But I don't feel it. From Vietnam, it says, and I'll show the pictures, outside Saigon, 1967, while serving with the 222nd Combat Aviation Battalion near the city of Vu Tau, Edwin Lloyd Jr. and his fellow servicemen threw a Christmas party for a local orphanage. For the children, it was their first time meeting Santa Claus, who had arrived via chopper. For Edwin and his troop elves, it remains a joyful memory from an otherwise tough time. So it shows Santa, Edwin, strolls. Let me mute this. Carolyn, please stop texting me when I'm trying to read. They do like these stories. No, they're not bored. They like them, okay? Santa, who's Edwin, strolls across the tarmac as kids marvel at his outfit. He almost lost his cotton whiskers during the windy ride in the chopper. Several busloads of excited kids travel from the orphanage. Edwin waits for a pillow to fill out his Santa suit. The children perform a dance for the base. The festivities included a traditional feast with roast turkey and sides. Hi, Frida Schnell. I haven't seen you for a while. The turkey dinner the little girl's having. Oh, and remember, guys, I happened to think today when I told that story about my sister going to her client's house a couple days ago, and she thought the lady would kidnap her, and she was so afraid. When the lady, when she was holding that jar with the cross on it, Shelley said it was white stuff. She did not say it was sand. I just remember today that she said that it was, the lady told her it was holy water blessed by a priest. So, yeah, I just wanted to correct that. This little story is from back in the time, and it's called Last Laugh. Here's the picture. Well, see, I could be your mother. This looks like it could be Jimmy. He fell down the stairs. Okay. Timber, it's called Christmas Tree Ritual, brought a painful reminder. The tradition of setting up the Christmas tree in our humble Erie, Pennsylvania home in the early 1960s began with a climb into the attic crawl space to fetch the lights. We'd cross our fingers that the strings worked. They didn't. And then someone had to unscrew and test each bulb to find the burned out ones. Outside, Dad fitted the tree into its stand. Some years, the porch light illuminated heavy snowflakes falling silently on his plaid flannel shirt. He never wore a coat. As he gave the bolts on the tree stand a final turn, we brought the tree inside and placed it in front of the living room windows while Mom made Christmas cookies in the kitchen. Over the clink of bowls, the whir of the mixer, and the crackle of the Harry Simone choral on the record player, Dad called, "Fran, where are the extension cords?" "In the basement where they always are. I don't move them," Mom answered. Dad disappeared down the dark steps. Seconds later, we heard whop, followed by what sounded like a coconut bouncing down the steps. Dad had done it again. This unpleasant part of the annual ritual occurred when halfway down the cellar steps, Dad's head encountered a portion of the wall that jutted out several inches. When Dad forgot about the obstacle, he ran smack into it. The coconut sound was him sliding the rest of the way. Mom turned on the light to see Dad sprawled on the cold cement floor. "Are you all right?" Dad groaned. And Mom said, "You're all right." "Are you all right?" Dad groaned, and Mom said, "You're all right." Sorry about that. She wiped her hands on her apron and went back to making cookies. Dad emerged groggily, dragging the extension cords, the prongs blackened from overheating, and the casings held together with electrical and Scotch tape. In the living room, he plugged them in to light the tree. The holiday had officially begun. Okay, another back in time. Hi, Scott. Do you, Karen? You check them out at the library? Hi, Bridget. This one is classic cars. I was hoping High 61 would be here. Maybe Scott and Mike like the classic cars. Hi, S. Sparks. Thank you. This is a Ford's V8, was big in hot rods, as in this Model A. Don Francisco, an automotive writer, looks it over in 1956. My father would probably know all about him. Hi, Kristen Vita Siv. Wow, everybody can have a V8. Ford's flathead design powers millions of cars over 21-year production history by Russ Mackey. Check under the hood of one of today's vehicles, and you're likely to see a turbocharged, direct injected 4 or 6 cylinder engine. But 90 years ago, America fell for a different engine, and the love affair lasted decades. In 1932, Henry Ford unveiled the first mass-market V8, a motor previously available only in pricier cars. Ford's simpler flathead design was cheaper to make. From 1932 to 1953, it built 25 million, ranking Ford's V8 among the 20th century's most important automotive engines. The mass-market V8 concept is credited as Henry Ford's last engineering contribution to the company. And here's just some little blurbs about the type of engine. Hi, Pamela Lynn. Hi, 10th Angel. In 1934, Henry Ford received a letter purportedly from bank robber Clyde Barrow of the infamous crime duo Bonnie and Clyde. The letter praises the flathead V8 for its ability to outrun pursuers. While I still have got breath in my lungs, the author writes, I will tell you what a dandy car you make. I have drove Fords exclusively when I could get away with one. And it says criminals weren't the only ones impressed with the flathead's performance. As early as the late 1930s, aftermarket modifiers such as Edelbrock, Fixstun, and Offenhauser worked on developing performance parts to increase the V8's output, making the flathead the first popular hot rod engine. Ford introduced a smaller version of the engine for its European market. It debuted in North America in 1937 as the V860 for its peak output of 60 horsepower. Acceleration was significantly weaker Then the bigger V8 and slow sales ended its North American distribution after 1940, but the engine was in production in Europe into the 1960s. The V860 also gained popularity in modified form on the midget car racing circuit. And then the Beach Boys, associated as much with California car culture as surfing, see page 8, which I showed that the other day, paid homage to the flathead V8 in their 1963 album, Little Deuce Coupe. The title track peaked at number 4 on the Billboard chart for the next year. Carolyn, are you still here? Or are you mad? Hi, Cheryl Curtis. Are you mad because I told them what your text said? This is bags packed. Connie is ready to drive to her first job out of college in 1960. Don't worry, be happy. Reassured by dashboard light, she kept driving. By Connie Sweat, Memphis, Tennessee. My turquoise and ivy Chevrolet, which had belonged to my father and which I was paying off, was ready to roll in 1960. The day was sunny, and I bade a tearful goodbye to my family in Tazewell, Virginia. I was driving to my first job since graduating from college, a 265-mile trip to Cleveland, Tennessee. Oh, to Cleveland, Tennessee, where I'd be the new youth director for the First Methodist Church. Driving along down Highway 11 South, in my stick shift Chevy, I encountered weather that turned rainy and dark. The car didn't have a radio, and I sang to keep myself company. When a red light marked GEN appeared on the dashboard, it gave me comfort. That red light was not so comforting. When I arrived at my destination, the mechanic said I needed to replace the generator, and I hadn't even received a paycheck yet. The moral of the story, if you don't understand auto mechanics, at least try to look sporty. And she does look pretty sporty there, doesn't she? Hi, Earthbound Spirit. I saw you in Carolyn's the other night, and I meant to say hi a couple times, and I didn't. I'm sorry. Guys, I'm pretty sure this is Water Tower Place, maybe, in Chicago. I don't know. It sure looks like it. We love shopping there. It's so much fun. Can you see all the different stories, all the different floors? And they have glass elevators that will take you up to I think it's the 7th floor. It's so much fun there, guys. Pretty sure that's where it is. It's a crossword. Yeah, much loved Chicago-based department store. Yeah. Oh, wait. Store with a star. Yeah, Miracle on 4. Yeah, Marshall's. No. Yeah, but it is Chicago. I know it is. I'm pretty sure. Marshall Fields. Yes, Marshall Fields. Sears. Oh, these are the old ones, but yeah. Pretty sure that's what it is. I could be wrong. Maybe Water Tower Place was built like this. I don't know, but it sure looks like it. This one is an illustration. Friends saw the likenesses of Jim, Bernie, and Ron on the card. Look how cute. Another illustration by Ron Norman, San Antonio, Texas. Sarasota, Florida was growing in the 1950s. The city added subdivisions, shopping centers, and schools, but it still had a small town feel. My family was well known in the community. Dad was active in the Episcopal Church, where he was an administrator for several programs, and we all worked at the family retail office supply business. Both of my parents' families had moved to Sarasota in the 1920s. Mom and Dad met in high school, but in the early 1930s, they left to find work in New York. Dad worked for the government during the war, setting up training programs in defense plants, experience that allowed him to transfer to Florida in 1942. We moved to Sarasota in early 1943. By 1950, the city had an active art scene and was home to several well-known authors, artists, and illustrators. Joseph J. Steinmetz, a professional photographer who was a family friend and customer, knew that my brother Jim and I were altar boys at church, which is how we got a unique assignment. Oh my gosh, I just scared myself. I saw myself out. I thought it was somebody else. Oh my God. An artist who worked for a greeting card company, Hallmark, commissioned Steinmetz to take a photo for a Christmas card. With Dad's permission, one day after school, Jim, his friend Bernie Scriven, and I, dressed in our acolyte cassocks, however you pronounce it, and modeled for a picture. The photo session took only an hour, for which we each received $25, which felt to us like a lot of money. The Hallmark artist, Jerry Farnsworth, then used the photo to create an illustration that was put on a Christmas card that year. When we saw the card in the Hallmark catalog, we were surprised at how much the boys looked like us. We got a lot of attention for it, including from our friends who recognized us. We were generally very well-grounded kids, but we certainly felt proud of being on that card. Those connections in Sarasota's church, business, and arts communities continued to be an important part of my life. I later served 2 terms as mayor. That is really cool to hear from somebody that was actually in this illustration. But I never think of it being real people, right? Oh, that's right. She did, right? She did think that 10th angel. That really scared me. I don't know if it's because I have this dark t-shirt on or what, that for some reason I thought it was somebody else there. I think this is it for this one so far. I'll just keep on reading so you guys can relax. High 61 still isn't here, is he? There's an article about the Christmas classics, the movies. I don't think I read this one. A 10-cent treasure. Never had such an inexpensive gift. Been so valued, by Billy Moody. Does this one look like I already read it? I'm not sure. I don't think so. And it shows a picture of where they grew up. Oh, I did. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Let's see. I have a lot more. Just it's horrible. I can't remember. Did I read Whittling Wonders? He used his spare time to create family heirlooms. Hi, Selena. Welcome. How about, did I read this? Patrick Dawes in 1928. Patrick was exceptionally talented at whittling gifts for Christmas. I don't think I did. This doesn't look familiar. This one, okay, I didn't read it. Okay. Oh, the one about the movies. Yeah, I know I didn't read the Christmas one, the movies. I know. I'll read it sometime. I don't think this whittling one was. We lived in New Haven, Connecticut during the mid to late 1940s. My three brothers and I were first-generation Americans. Maybe it's because I'm reading so much of these lately. Children of Irish immigrants. Our dad came to the States in 1928 to raise money to bring my mother here right in the middle of the Great Depression. Several years later, they were the parents of 3 boys and 1 girl, me. Does this sound familiar? I was my father's shadow. Although a great bond with him, was enjoyed by all my brothers as well. We were not aware that times were tough because our parents surrounded us with plenty of love and simple but nutritious meals. Yes, I think I did. We lived in what was called a cold water flat. No? But most of our friends did also. All that was important was being close to the church and school. Yes, I did. I read this one. Oh, no, I didn't. No, yeah. Just so much of it sounds like another one. Okay, yeah. It was December, so it was time to select a Christmas tree. My father and I ventured out to find the perfect tree. I was not cognizant at the time that funds were limited. I saw many that I thought would be perfect, but I am now sure that price was the most significant factor in my dad's mind. After careful selection, my dad picked out the perfect tree. It wasn't what I had in mind, but I didn't want to disappoint my father in his choice. Dave, would you mind turning it down a little bit? Gosh. He always watches the noisiest movies. Lexi said that. They're always screaming or shooting. Okay. I remember walking home with him through the snow-clogged streets to bring home our prize. Dad exclaimed that $5 for a tree seemed like a lot, but he felt it was worth it. When we got home, my brothers and I watched Dad set the tree into the stand in the living room as we all sat on the sofa to admire the final result. We watched my father cut some of the lower branches to allow for the skirt around the base and the creche, C-R-E accent mark H-E that would follow. Somehow the tree did not look quite as symmetrical as we envisioned it should. We were curious when Dad got his drill out to complete the project. Puzzled, we watched while he sharpened the cut ends of the cut-off bows and began drilling holes into the tree trunk whenever he thought nature needed a little help. Soon, to our delight, We had the picture-perfect tree that only needed our decorations. Now all we required was Santa Claus to complete our dreams. Dad worked evenings at a local printing company for several years. As children, we never knew that this was one of the only companies that did not discriminate, with signs of "No Irish Need Apply" when he arrived in the late 1920s. Wow. See, every group, every class, every culture, nationality has always been discriminated at one time or the other, been discriminated against. So while Dad was a talented, well-read intellectual, he toiled away as best he could to make a living for his wife and family. In the evenings, while the press was running, Dad whittled exquisite toys for his brood of hooligans. I'll never forget the little trussed turkey he carved and then stained a roasted brown as a pretend meal for me to serve my dolls' Christmas dinner, or the doll's crib that he constructed and hid in the basement until Christmas, or the chest that he made for my doll's clothes, complete with the inscription "Princess" on the cover, his special name for me. My brothers also had the most unique presents that he constructed, as the press was running, or during his leisure time, a true-to-life replica of the Titanic, which sailed many voyages in our bathtub, a hunting knife made from a file, complete with leather handle and sheath, for my oldest brother, and wooden rifles, complete with broomstick barrels and screws for sights. That's not to mention the endless nets that he wove from string attached to reworked coat hangers. Then he also provided to all the neighborhood boys on summer afternoons. The nets were perfect for crab fishing. So many years have passed. My parents and my brothers are all gone now. Although our fortunes changed over the years, my siblings and I would always remember the effort our parents made and how talented our father was to make sure his children had the Christmas of our dreams. My princess chest now holds important documents, and my doll's crib has been gifted to my only granddaughter so that perhaps sometimes in the future she might have a little princess of her own. I hope if and when that day arrives, she will pause and consider a long ago great-grandfather she never had the pleasure of knowing, who had fashioned that crib with love for his own princess. That's sweet. Yeah, I know we didn't read this one. This one's called "No Slip of the Lip. The Enemy Would Never Get Information from Her" by Dorothy Stenitis. The posters were big and bold, prominently displayed on the wall opposite the meat counter at John's American Store in Philadelphia. One pictured Uncle Sam holding his index finger in front of his lips in the universal signal for silence, and the other showed the black silhouette of a battleship sinking into the water of a distant sea. Both posters featured the slogan, "A slip of the lip can sink a ship." Now, I'm trying to find that. Lex, do you have any more of those vitamin drops or whatever they are? Vitamin C. Now, John's store was a bit of a puzzle to me, painted as it was in a glaring golden yellow. After all, shouldn't an American store be painted in red, white, and blue, especially during World War II? But the posters didn't puzzle me at all. I already knew that the enemy had ears and that spies were all over, seeking sensitive information. I was determined never to leak any important secrets, and I had several. First of all, I knew which desk drawer my second grade teacher, Mrs. Ritchie, used to house the saving books and 10-cent war stamps. Each Monday was stamp day, and we all brought our money to James Road School to buy stamps to add to our books. When the books were filled, they could be redeemed for a $25 war bond, and the competition was keen among us to be first to get one. Lexi, do you have... Sorry, guys. We knew that each dime we used to buy war stamps would go directly into the war effort. Wouldn't the enemy just love to know the location of the second grade's war chest? But they'd never find out from me. My lips were sealed. I would never reveal... I just want one. I would never reveal the identity of our...
Take them all. You can't get any more.
Thanks. I would never reveal the identity of our local air raid warden either. Each time the siren blared, he would don his khaki shirt and slacks and his cream-colored helmet. With his flashlight turned off, but close at hand, the click of his heels as he patrolled our darkened street, checking for light violations, was the only sound we heard until our mother drew us close and softly sang or told us stories of her own World War I experiences as a little girl. No, Mr. Sweeney, who had so kindly distributed the buckets of sand that each family kept on the front porch in case it was needed to extinguish an air raid attack fire, could be assured that his identity was safe with me. I would never tell. And there were even more secrets for me to guard, since I knew the location of not one, but two neighborhood scrap piles. I had pulled our old red wagon loaded with aluminum pipes and flattened tin cans to the pile on Parish Street before our own Ogden Street scrap heap had been started. In addition, I knew the names and addresses of the boys with the largest tinfoil balls, composed from the gum wrappers they had collected. That tinfoil, too, would go to the war effort, even though the playground rumor had it that Robert Johnson had placed a big stone in the center of his foil ball to make it seem larger. But my final and most sensitive secret concerned my own house and my own mother, for I knew that the blue and yellow tin bread box on her pantry shelf didn't contain bread at all. Mother was certainly not one of those most despised housewives, a hoarder, but her bread box did contain a store of scarce rationed items: a 5-pound bag of sugar, a jar of maraschino cherries, and another of large green olives, all rare and precious, and set aside for holidays and special occasions. Mother could count on me to keep her secret. Still, determined as I was to keep information from the enemy, I knew that they had their ways of prying information from reluctant unfortunates, so I created a plan to keep my courage and perseverance intact. If I were to be interrogated by the enemy, I would burst into the sound that we sang in school every day at morning assembly. I was sure that my fervent serenade would shame the enemy into retreat. After all, who could resist God Bless America? I knew all the words, too. Luckily, I came through the war without ever needing to discover if my musical tactics would protect my store of information and keep our naval fleet safely afloat until victory came to the USA. Now that is so cute. And that's by somebody named Dorothy. Dorothy, little girl who, hi Sharon, Sharon Wade. Nice to see you again. Little girl who really thought she was keeping her country safe. You know, she was helping out in her own little way, right? How long has it been? Almost an hour. How about Cousin Charlie and the Demon Truck? It had a mind of its own. Good old days on wheels. There's a picture of Russell and his brother John. They play in front of their garage, which housed a 1937 Plymouth sedan. Russell's older cousin Charlie had a renegade 1928 Ford Model A delivery truck at the time. Hi, Teresa Lily. No worries. You can come in whenever you want. I'm just sitting here reading. Hi, Arha. You don't have to stay. You can stay as long as you want. You can leave. Just do. Hi, Kevin. Just do your thing. Good, Virginia. As long as there is one person listening, I'm good. I'll be crying, but I'll be fine. I'll get over it. The incident with my cousin Charlie's truck began like most affairs in a common and ordinary way. But for a while, that truck made Charlie the most famous man in town. Charlie was one of those good old-fashioned people who believed that if you really want to live, the hours from dawn to dusk beat the hours between dusk to dawn, and he practiced what he preached. Dawn to dusk. Kind of the opposite of a few of us. As was his custom, Charlie was up at the break of dawn, ready to get the day going right. But this morning was anything but ordinary. Not one to waste time, he hurriedly dressed, ate his breakfast, and headed out the door to the garage. Throwing open the doors, he gazed affectionately at one of his most prized possessions, a 13-year-old shiny black 1928 Ford Model A panel delivery truck with the name of his floral business painted in white on each side. Every time Charlie drove down the main street of Barnesboro, New Jersey, people greeted him with a wave of their hands and warm hellos. Starting and driving that old truck was a challenge for its owner, but over the years, Charlie had become an expert at it. In today's automobiles, we simply turn a key in the ignition or push a button, then place our foot on the brake, but put the car in gear and away we go to our destination. But in a 1928 Model A, there are a total of 16 steps a driver must take before he can hit the road. Keeping an eye on Garnet. As Charlie prepared to get the old truck running for the day, he climbed into the driver's seat and pushed the lever for the spark control all the way to its upper limit to retard the spark. After opening the gas valve under the dash on the passenger side, he turned the choke full counterclockwise, then backed it off 1/4 turn. Since the morning was quite cold, he decided it was better to open it a full turn. Expecting the engine to roar to life, when he pushed on the ignition switch this time, the starter gave out with a groan like a dying cow. Charlie flipped the switch a few more times, and all he got for his efforts was another moan. The truck had always started before, and since he was raring to go, he couldn't understand why this dad-blasted contraption wasn't ready to go too. Cussing under his breath and impatient to get on the road, Charlie did what most drivers did in those days. He reached into the toolbox, grabbed the crank, and walked to the front of the vehicle. Before Charlie could place the crank in its receptacle, strange noises emanated from under the hood. As he stood there scratching his head with a perplexed look on his face, the engine let out a loud roar, and the truck raced backward out of the garage and across the field like a scared rabbit, with its owner in hot pursuit. When asked about it later, Charlie said that in his haste to get going for the day, he had inadvertently left the truck in reverse with the throttle wide open. Nothing much ever happened in Barnesboro, and there were those who said it was a one-horse town without a horse. For the most part, the townspeople were hard-working farmers and, like Charlie, were early risers. Screaming like a banshee, Charlie chased after the escaping fugitive. And, as might be expected, why do I keep scaring myself? Why am I feeling? I'm not going to wear black on this computer anymore. Keep thinking, oh, somebody else. Many of his neighbors popped out of their doors to see what the commotion was all about. Rubbing their eyes and gasping in amazement, they couldn't believe what was happening. Taking a second look, they pinched themselves to see if they were really awake. As was reported in the local newspaper, whether the sight they beheld was the result of too much succotash the night before. Upon assuring themselves that what they saw was really happening and not the result of a nightmare, they eagerly joined the chase. The truck seemed to have a mind of its own, and the chase bore a strong resemblance to the Keystone Cops in an old Mack Sennett silent film. With the motor roaring and the dust flying, the driverless vehicle took off in a southerly direction, heading first for a house and a large apple tree in the middle of someone's yard. At the last minute, it veered off and, changing course, miraculously missed a row of greenhouses. In a yard filled with buildings, trees, and bushes, which should have, at the very least, impeded its progress, the errant vehicle missed every one of them. In the gray light of morning, with the speed of the fast-moving vehicle and the flying dust, it was nearly impossible to tell if the object might be an enemy tank or some wild beast like the Jersey Devil. Remembering how they'd been flummoxed by Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast of 1938, this time they left their weapons behind and took up the chase. Just when it looked like the truck was heading for the highway, it made a sharp turn and then ran between two large elm trees and a large rambler rose bush. Barely missing a row of mailboxes and scraping past a couple of electric poles, it sped across an open field. Boy, this thing's moving, going everywhere. With its newfound freedom and seeming to have a mind of its own, the machine took every jolt and bump in stride. Crossing to the other side of the unplowed field, it forged ahead through a privet hedge into a field of tomatoes and long lines of pole llama beans. The vegetables were no match for this roaring black monster, and like German stormtroopers of World War II fame, it mowed them down in true blitzkrieg fashion. Witnesses stated that the vehicle appeared to reach a speed of 25 or 30 miles an hour before the sounds of breaking glass and splintering wood that meant the demon truck had met its match. Failing to negotiate a turn, it had crashed into the side of a hay barn. Despite the fact that the building had halted its progress, the motor was still running, and like an angry bull snorting and pawing the ground in preparation to charge anyone unlucky enough in its path. The wheels continued to spin and dig into the dirt. Because may have been the only newsworthy item to ever come out of Barnesboro, New Jersey, the good people of the town and those who knew Charlie were still talking about it many years later. One of Charlie's cousins, Cy Eastlack, later said of the incident, "There's an outstanding moral of this story. If a car, after seeing 13 years of service, can still show such stamina and ability to go places, then we can all rest assured that the machines being built in America today by free men in a free land are more than a match for those built anywhere else in the world." Here's that picture again, maybe for some of you that didn't see it or really look close enough. Hi, Teresa Lily. Carol never left the orphans. Hi, Carol Lover. Carol never left the building. A couple more and then we'll end her. Here's one called The Bumper Tag Coat. That was one way to keep his dad from finding out, by Robert Sukovic. It was December 1946, and my father had bought me a new overcoat at Nadelson's men's store in the nearby town of Elizabeth, New Jersey. I couldn't have been happier. Christmas was still more than a week away, but Dad knew I didn't have a good cold weather coat, and he wanted me to have it to wear for Christmas. On Friday night, a bunch of us guys headed for the American Legion Hall on the west end of Roselle, the borough where we lived. The Legion had opened up the place so older teens would have a place to meet and dance and have something to eat. The parents loved it since it was supervised and they knew where their kids were. After we left the Legion, we bummed a ride over to the Park Diner on Westfield Avenue in Roselle Park for a chicken salad sandwich or a grilled cheese. Then it was an easy walk home. My buddy, Fish, and I left the Park Diner and were about a block away when Mo, another one of the guys in our group, pulled up in his 1937 Ford sedan with his cousin riding shotgun. Mo asked if we wanted to take a ride with them around Warrenaco Park. So Fish and I got in the back. The park has a big, beautiful lake. It was a favorite place to go, and we took rides around it often. So there we were, cruising around the park, talking and sometimes singing. Soon we were joined by another one of our crew, Dominic. He pulled up alongside us in his 1939 Buick. And it wasn't long before we were involved in a game of bumper tag. It was kind of like a game of chicken. While driving side by side, the drivers tried to tap each other's fenders without causing any real damage as they go faster and faster. It was dangerous and crazy. There was a bridge over one end of the lake and a lagoon, and we were about to cross it for the third time when Dominic gave us a harder tap and Mo's right side wheels hit the curb. We started rocking back and forth until we finally went over on our left side. We slid along the road for 30 or 40 feet, with me sitting with my rear end right over that little port window that was in the back of those cars in those days. The window was smashed, and I could feel my rear scraping the pavement as we skidded along. After we finally stopped, Fish and I exited the vehicle military tank style, opening the right side door and pulling ourselves up to get out. We jumped down, and just about that time, another car, the first one we'd seen the whole night, came across the bin. I couldn't believe it, but it was Mo's brother. Mo's father had sent him out to find Mo because it was late and was worried and he was worried about him. Mo's brother knew Mo liked to ride around the park. It is weird. I just felt something like fall out of my head. But there's nothing here. I even heard it. It's impossible. With all the manpower we now had, we were able to turn the car upright. Mo was able to start the car, and he told me and Fish to get in. But we said, no way, and started walking across the park to go home. Fish and I were still scared because of the accident, and the walk turned into a run. Eventually, we slowed down again. Now, I remembered I was wearing my new coat, and as soon as I put my hand on my left rear, I knew I had a problem. My hand touched naked skin on that side. The slide had chewed away a portion of the coat, my pants, and my underwear. I had a few scrapes on my back side that drew a little blood, but nothing serious. My real concern was, what will I do about the coat? What am I going to tell my father? A couple of days after the accident, I was doing my homework when I picked up a copy of Popular Mechanics that my brother John subscribed to. The back cover was facing me, and I read, Reweaving. It showed a picture of a jacket that displayed the reweaving process to repair damaged fabrics. I know somebody in here that could do it. I think I am, Espark. Hi, Jackie Burns. I bet 10th Angel could do this. I asked my buddy Eddie to drive me to Nadelson's to see if they did reweaving. At the store, I showed the salesman my shredded coat and asked him if they did reweaving. He replied that they did, so I left the coat there. The salesman told me to give them a call in a couple of days. After the coat was finished, I went to pick it up. I gave the salesman my ticket. He went in the back, got my coat, and showed it to me. I almost fainted. There was no reweaving. They had simply cut the torn section out of the split tail and sewed in a whole new piece, and it wasn't even the same shade. I was flabbergasted. The other salesman told me you did reweaving, but the man just said that was the best they could do. It cost me $7. I paid him and left. Now I had a new problem. How was I going to keep my father from seeing the coat? Christmas came and went. On New Year's Eve, I got all dressed up to go out with the guys. We went to Freddy's in Kenilworth, just north of Roselle. By now, I was an expert in deception when it came to keeping the coat out of my father's sight. We got to Freddy's, hung up our coats, got a table, and settled down for the festivities. We had a good time. We welcomed in the new year and hung around until about 3:30 a.m. When we decided to head home, we went to get our coats. 2 of them were gone, including mine. Somebody stole my coat. At first, I went ballistic, but then I realized I finally had something to tell my father. I was trying to read whatever this is, but it's too dang small. I need a magnifying glass. This is Flashback Fun. In 1943, Norman Rockwell based his 4 Freedoms paintings on FDR's 1941 address to Congress. The 4 are freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from fear, and freedom from want. After appearing in the Saturday Evening Post, an exhibition of the paintings traveled to 16 cities. and was viewed by more than 1 million people, raising $133 million in war bonds and stamps. Yeah, Norman Rockwell paintings, sure. Hi, Alicia. I've been wondering about you. Alicia Biso, my boo. I really have been. I've been wondering about you. Wondering where you were. 1:15. We'll go like 15 more minutes, okay? About an hour and a half. Yeah, they are your favorite. Yeah, they're good, aren't they, Scott? Let's see. I don't think I read this one. The Girl on the Mountain. Hi, Robin Lane. It's been a while. The Girl on the Mountain. Subtitle is Uncle Doug Had a Guardian Angel That Spooky Night by Elizabeth Wagner. Have you? Okay. Okay, good. Hi, Snow Bunny. Yeah, I haven't read this one. It's kind of a short one, too, I think. Or no, it's about the same. There's a picture. In this fuzzy vintage photo is Elizabeth's Uncle Doug in the middle with his wife Annie and son Howard. Uncle Doug's story about a mysterious girl stayed with Elizabeth for a lifetime. Who knows, maybe it'll stay with all of us now. Lisa D isn't here, is she? She gets so afraid. She gets super scared. Excuse me. It was an unusually cold winter in the Smoky Mountains. Old snow covered the ground and made crunchy sounds as we walked down the gravel road. I'm trying to see what time it is, almost 8:30. Okay. It was a Sunday night. Evening worship at the church had just let out, and the church crowd had begun their journey home on foot under a full moon. That's how most folks got around in those post-war years. The sermon had been frightening for me. The preacher expounding. Okay, what in the heck is going on? Look at this. Look, this just landed on the magazine that I'm reading. The article right now. On the picture. It just landed on the picture, and it was right in the center, and I'm not kidding you, on Uncle Doug. I'm not even joking. I have no fan going. The heat isn't on right now at the moment. The furnace is not clicked on. The cat is not here. I do have some of my leaves in that I'm making, but they've been sitting here this whole time. What in the heck? Isn't that weird? Yeah, it's just a piece of my, Italian crepe paper that I cut, I don't know, several days ago. Yes, and I heard something fall, guys. No, well, not yet, Kevin. I do have some of those to take. I haven't taken one today. This is from last night. Which I got to throw this wrapper away. I've got it sitting right here. This is bizarre, guys. It's a good thing, though, I think, right? I got a little bag sitting right here next to my recliner. I'm kidding. That is weird, though. And I like it. It's a good weird. Okay. Okay. It was a Sunday night. Evening worship at church had just let out, and the church crowd had begun their journey home on foot under a full moon. That's how most folks got around in those post-war years. The sermon had been frightening for me. The preacher expounded on disasters to come. And the moon shall turn to blood, he cried loudly. And now that bloody moon was before us on the road. I slid closer to Daddy and grabbed his hand. It was 1947, and I was 8 years old. The little Baptist church sat high on a hill in Happy Valley, and our house was down the hill and around a bend. Several church members would stop at our house to warm up before heading on out to their own homes, which were a good distance farther away. In addition to warming themselves beside our warm morning heater, they knew my mother, who stayed home evenings with her youngest children, would have something hot to feed them. Tonight, it was tater soup and her famous crispy cornbread. We filled our bowls, crumpled cornbread in, and headed for the living room, where my sister Charles and I settled down on the old hearth behind the stove. Uncle Doug was there, so we knew a story was coming. We didn't wait long. Uncle Doug, we begged, tell us a story. Uncle Doug cleared his throat a few times, ate several spoonfuls of his soup, smacked his lips against toothless gums, leaned his straight-backed wooden chair on two legs, as country folk often did, and scratched his bald head as he considered. "'Twere many years ago," he began. I had been over a 6 mile. I had been over a 6-mile courting my Annie. I was headed home across Chilhowee Mountain, and it was getting late. I shivered. If he was on the mountain and it got dark, then this was going to be a spook tale for sure. Darkness settled in, he went on. I didn't have no light, but I knowed my way. I whistled as I walked to let any spooks that might be lingering. No, I wasn't afeared. Suddenly before me, Uncle Doug continued, eyes widening, there was the purtiest little girl you ever seen. She were walking right in front of me. She sort of glowed like an angel child. Her hair was like spun gold, and her fancy dress was blue. She moved ahead and kept motioning for me to stop. It was dark, but I could see her plain as day. Well, I needed to get on home, so I kept walking. Then she got right in front of me and held up her hands, forcing me to stop. She wouldn't let me go around her, so I just sat me down right there by that hickory tree. And she sat down with me and laid her head in my lap. I just leaned back against that tree and went to sleep. When I woke up, he went on, that angel child was nowhere to be seen, and it was daylight. When I stood up, I could see I had taken a wrong turn last night and was on the edge of a steep cliff. If I had gone just a few more steps, I would have fallen to my death. That little girl saved my life. I thought I had dreamt it, he went on, but right there on my breeches leg was several gold hairs where she'd laid her head. I drifted off to sleep that night, thinking of a strange little girl with an angel glow who saved Uncle Doug's life. Hi, Kathy from Texas. Hi, Tammy. Wow, that's pretty cool. Did you guys like it? And I'm going to ask you guys complete these movie titles, okay? There's only 8 of them. And think back. These are older movies. I believe that too, Snow Bunny. That is too weird, guys. For real, right? Alicia, you need to rewind back. See, 2 weird things happened, okay? I was here reading. All of a sudden, I felt something fall off of my head, okay? And I heard it land here on the table. I heard it. Okay? But then I'm like this, you know? I'm going like this. And there's nothing here, just the tablecloth. And what would have made a sound? I heard it plain as day, and it fell right off of my head. And then just as I was starting to read this, okay, where'd it go? Right here. This, without this overhead fan on, okay, ceiling fan isn't on. The furnace was not running at the time, so nothing coming out of the vents. This just landed right here, like right on that picture where that Uncle Doug and those other 2 people are. It's a piece of my Italian crepe paper, just a trimming from it. That is weird. Okay, before we go, these are easy. Finish the title. Does that make a noise? No. No. I don't, well, something fell out of my head and I heard it. I felt it, I saw it, I heard it. Okay, what miracle? Finish that one. What's the title? I know you guys know this. No. Yeah, I'm not scared. Hey, California Thunder. No, not 49th Street, QB. You're close. It does feel positive to me. Hi, Danielle C. Carolyn, a couple of strange things happened, but they're all positive. You can watch later. Yep, 34th. How about the next one? The Bishops. The Bishop's Wife. That's right. Christmas in not July. It's a movie. A movie from the older days. Connecticut. That's right. The Bells. They're from Texas. The Bells of St. Mary's. That's right. This one's a tough one. White. Christmas. That's right. It's Wonderful Life. Okay. For a second, I didn't think I would know this. It left the building. Christmas. Carol, that's right. The last one. Meet me in St. Louis. Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the story time. I love doing this. I love reading to you guys. I can pretend like I'm a teacher. No, they're old movie titles, Dorothy. You know, old Christmas movies. Silly girl. I know you better know these old Christmas movies, Dorothy. I love y'all. You were wrong once before. Oh, well. Yeah, I'm not good at the flowers. Okay, great. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you later at your Mama Ramblin's house. Love you all. Bye, y'all. Oh, I didn't even have it on live chat. Thank you. I love y'all too. I love you, Davida. Bye, y'all. Merry Christmas is coming.